everybody, welcome to another Kerfuffle Showcase here, and I am delighted, honoured to have Nicola Brewman, Brewman Recruitment. How are you, Nicola?
I'm really well. Thank you, Simon. I'm really well.
You're looking exceptionally well. That must be, we're filming this on a Friday, so it's that whole Friday feeling going on.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's a full
effect, fantastic. You know, obviously, the little competition we've got with Jerry Lyons. Not that there is a competition. Who wants to see a greying man? But anyway, today's all about you, Nicola. So I want to take it back a stage if we can do, because clearly loads of people will know you incredibly well. But I want this, if people didn't know anything about Nicola, didn't know anything about Brewman Recruitment, give us a bit of just a real brief overview, because it's still a relatively new business, isn't it? I mean, I was looking just before we jumped on, and it's ridiculous the amount of reviews you've got on our wonderful site already is a real testament to such a new business. But it's only really just over a year, wasn't it? It's the start of last year.
Yeah, so January last year, I set up Brewman Recruitment. So my background is lettings. I've worked corporates, independents, was a lettings director, and then did a stint in recruitment. Decided to go on my own, and then January last year set up Brewman Recruitment. And 2.5 months later, went into lockdown. I
was going to say, so from a timing perspective, we shouldn't.
Yeah, it could have been better.
I mean, everyone will be very familiar with that train crash, that car crash moment there. How long did it take for you as a business to realise that actually the world hadn't stopped turning?
Well, I pretty much came home having scrapped off every vacancy we had, paid back every rebate from every placement that we'd made, and I thought that was it. Brewman was over. We were done. And what I decided to do was use lockdown as a time to help other people. So I went out and I just helped anybody in any industry with their CV. We just shouted about people that were looking for jobs on every social media platform. And we did Jonathan Hanford's good news stories, which you remember.
Well, I joined you on that. That was obviously.
You did?
Yeah, it was very nice. Again, any chance to put on a wig, but that's me at the weekends.
So we did all of those sorts of stuff, and then obviously housing market was one of the first back.
Yeah.
And that week the phone started ringing, and clients just came back to us. And I think because of what we'd done during lockdown, and it was just so synonymous, I suppose, with our values as a business, that it just started us off on the right sort of lines. And it's just gone a bit mad since there. So pretty much you could almost say that May 2020 was when Broomham kind of came back or was launched. But yeah, so we're a year, 21 months old. And
congratulations on that front. I mean, genuinely, anyone who starts, I mean, I just think there, there you are in January, you've got your own business there. This is what we all dream about, and then 3 months later you've got that scenario. There's not many people can go say they've done the same, can they?
No, it was hell. It was absolute hell on earth. And honest, I was so gutted. And at the time I had 2 employees as well. I had Will and Jake. Yeah. So
a sense of responsibility on top of expectation.
Yeah, and an office.
You just mentioned their values, and I am, as you know, famously suspicious about sort of that corporate jargon, and I'm only doing this so I can actually set you up properly, because I actually know it really matters a lot to you in terms of that effect. Yeah. Just talk us through what your core values are and why that should matter, I suppose, to the clients as well, because it does impact, doesn't it? If you get those core values right, it should absolutely flow all the way through to the experience your clients experience from you as a business.
Yeah. So we have 3 words which we feel define us, and we have one purpose. So our 3 words are: we are human, we're effective, and we are reliable. And those words haven't changed.
Thanks for that, Nicola. You've just ruled me out on every one of those. Okay. So how did you come up with those? Where did that come from?
I found when I myself was looking, actually back in my days of being an estate agent, and when I was looking for a role back in agency, which actually pushed me down the recruitment side of things, I just found that I just got treated as a name, as a CV. I I didn't feel anybody particularly cared. I felt that time and time again, people wouldn't call me back. And so then I felt that human element was really important, and it comes through now with lots of the work we do with regards to mental health and the podcast and all of those types of things, and all the charity stuff that we do and we get involved in, but also the way that hopefully we treat each other and our clients and our candidates, but also the reliable bit, because I just felt so many broken promises are made in recruitment, and like the effective bit in terms of actually doing the job and doing what we've been asked to do. And so that's kind of where it came from. And then from that came our purpose, which is to help businesses grow organically through purposeful recruitment. So what that means is that we're not a recruiter who recruits for businesses who recruit because of churn. We recruit because they're actually growing. So that gives you an idea of the kind of businesses we work with as well. We're not about a bums on seat recruitment. That's not what we do. We're actually about partnering with our clients to help them to grow by recruiting in the right way.
So when we asked you about the title for today, you wanted to call it a chat about recruitment, but not about recruitment. So just, if we aren't talking about recruitment, what are we talking about?
Okay. The reason why is because I think that everyone knows what recruitment is, or everyone has an idea of what they think recruitment is. And I wanted to talk about everything that surrounds it, to be totally honest. I think there are lots that we do and lots that happens within Broomham, which are all about trying to make our industry better, which obviously has a knock-on effect to recruitment. So, for example, we've got the Brewman podcast, and the idea behind the Brewman podcast was about giving the industry different voices to hear. I think quite often we see the same and hear the same voices time and time again. And I really wanted to give Joe Public a space to talk about things they cared about. What's actually happened is it's really evolved into talking about a lot of the soft skills within what we do, and a lot of the real human elements of us as individuals. So I kind of wanted to touch on that side of things. And the reason why that podcast is really important is because it does link to recruitment, because we talk about things like confidence. We talk about working in different markets and different industries. We talk about how do you feel about business planning? How do you hire someone with Asperger's, and what's that mean to your business? All sorts of different stuff. But then the other side to it as well, which I wanted to talk about, which was not about recruitment, was we're bringing in over the next probably 6 to 12 months are going to be really exciting, I think, for our industry, because what we're doing is we're bringing in a coach, a career coach. And this career coach is going to be working with clients and individuals. And he's a qualified coach, got letters after his name and everything. So he knows what he's doing. But he comes from a prop tech background, and he used to be a lettings director. So he's done both sides of the coin. And what we want to do is we want to actually start advising people on how to get the most out of what they do, to be the best version of themselves that they can be. And I felt that when I looked at our industry as a whole, there's lots and lots of business coaches out there, loads of coaches that go into businesses and advise leaders on what to do, but there aren't very many people that actually work with the foot soldiers and the people on the ground.
Very true. It's very true, isn't it? Yeah, it's often just goes back to what people would loosely call the decision makers, but ultimately, you know, if you want the business to thrive, it's got to be the people at the coalface, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. And I've done quite a few webinars and things with Property Mark, where we've looked at how to retain your staff. Planning your career was one that we did recently. How to get into property, effective recruitment, and proper onboarding. And what all of those things have led me sort of down the route of is to go, well, a really good business isn't a good business unless you really look after the people that are in it. And it might sound counterintuitive for us to be helping businesses to actually retain their people by talking to them about how to improve their careers. But it goes back to our purpose, and our purpose is to work with businesses that grow through or recruit through growth, not recruit through churn. So
so just on that, there was a very negative viewpoint about, I heard many moons ago about some business owners didn't want to train and develop their staff too much because they would then bugger off. These days, of course, is the people are just so much more demanding and serious about self-development, aren't they? So they're going to disappear if you don't give them that. So is that very much in line with what you're thinking about here, is giving them, I mean, people talk about generation, Z and everything else, YZ, and that they really need all that. Is this simply a response in terms of just understanding where the whole marketplace, the employment marketplace is going?
Yeah. At least I hope it is. I might have got this hideously wrong, but I'm hoping not. And I'm hoping this is what it is. I feel that our industry, and I say our industry as in the property industry as a whole, whether you're an agent or a supplier to it, I feel that our industry deserves to be recognised as being a proper profession, which is also what we're going to be doing with. We're working with some real key individuals and businesses to actually try and promote the industry as somewhere where you want to be. But in order to do that, we need to actually make the day-to-day working lives of these people better. But I've been working with a few businesses, and a few of our clients have come to me recently to sort of bring me into their business to look at what they should be offering their employees in terms of benefits and setup and how they should be treating people, because they want to look after them. And I think the last 18 months has probably shown a lot of employers that if they want to retain their good people, they genuinely need to look after them. And that's what this is all about. It's about investing in people. And I think the type of employer that, if they have that attitude that you mentioned, they're probably not the right client for us anyway.
Yeah, and it's really important these days. I mean, there's a number of different effects the pandemic's had, hasn't it? First of all, it's intensifying. Am I right in thinking that expectation level of employees now has risen, hasn't it? They're not willing to tolerate it. I think people understand that work-life balance better than ever before. Would you agree that's the way that things have gone?
Yeah, very much so. I think we've had a bit of a pendulum, I think, in the sense that lots of people suddenly really wanted to work from home and were desperate to work from home, and it sort of really went that way. And now we're starting to see people going, actually, I quite like the hybrid idea. I don't like being at home on my own all the time, and I quite like a little bit of both. But some of the sort of consultative conversations I've been having have been revolving around more of the softer things that businesses can offer. And it can be something as simple as a beer fridge on a Friday. What's a beer cost you? They're only going to have one because they're driving. Or all the way through to getting involved in climate change and signing up to things like ecology and all of that sort of stuff.
I literally applied to Spectre, obviously the fantastic, because they had a beer fridge. I got knocked back because it was a development job, but I'm going to keep going until they let me in there. And what you have to say there, but I did look at it, and I genuinely, just as a business, obviously they're a fantastic business, but I was looking at the job description there, and I've been lucky enough to get, to travel to a lot of nice businesses, being shown inside Google, who famously had, the Google approach to sort of employment and everything else. And companies like Spectre and Moneypenny, they've just stepped ahead of those kind of Silicon Valley ones, because there's a real sometimes you get a feeling those companies are just doing it, transparently, and it's fine if you want to do that, but there's a real warmth and belief that this is the right thing to do for their employees anyway.
Yeah, and that what they're doing is what the rest of the industry now needs to start catching up with. And that's part of what we want to try and help to do and advise with, because it's a hell of a lot easier for us on the recruitment piece to make a placement in a company that can show that they really value their people and want to invest in them and have these their own core values that support their staff, offer funding for training, all of those things. It makes our job as recruiters a lot easier. So inadvertently, it is all supporting our recruitment piece, but also supporting what our business is all about, which is people and making the industry better. But yeah, Spectre are very, very much ahead of that. I've seen their job ad. So
I'm guessing you come from the same place as me then, when you walk around a business, or these businesses that proudly flaunt all over the walls in slogans, our team comes first and the clients come. and then they don't deliver on it. There's nothing
Yeah.
worse than that, is it? That fake kind of approach that comes. But I said at the beginning I was famously kind of suspicious of those kind of, the slogans and values. There is, on the whole, this business is, there's some quite, dare I say, just traditional owners out there. And how do you explain to them that this isn't gimmicky, that this is, that there's a real value in this for going down this path of development of staff and being more flexible? I mean, I think the idea that, that many business owners would have allowed their staff to work from home before the pandemic would have just been an absolutely no-no, wouldn't it? So we've kind of broken down that wall. But how would you talk to those ones who are still a little bit suspicious that, now things need to revert back to normal, whatever that is?
I think what the way I need to approach it is sit down and show them some stats. The proof is in the pudding. If you look after their people, then you'll get so much more from them. We all say that somebody who feels valued and appreciated will always do more. And these sayings and phrases are around for a reason. And we could quite easily pull off some stats and show them the churn with regards to different ways of doing things and having these softer things versus not. But it also, there's a lot of other things that can be changed and advised too, including salary structures and things like that. But we're in 2021, and I think business owners need to be open-minded. There's so much resource out there now, podcasts, information, so many ways in which we can see that our industry needs to be changed, but there are still a lot of dinosaurs in it.
And on a practical level, how do you then work with those agents? From day one, you want to engage with them. How do you learn about them? How do they learn about you? And how do you put in place these principles to develop the business?
Okay, so 96, I think it is, % of our clients come to us through recommendation. Wow. We're really lucky, actually. We're really lucky.
That's not luck. You might not self-deprecate, but that's incredible, and it's a sign of. Look, that's just a sign of a stellar business, isn't it? Going from place to place, but more than anything as well, I spoke about that fakeness as well that's coming on there. That's the other end of the spectrum, isn't it? Because we can all talk the talk, but ultimately, the way that you are graded, the way that you can put a firm metric on this is what is the level of referral from existing clients and things like that, and that comes across. Look, I was going to save it till the end, but everyone needs to go on, go to kerfuffle.com, have a look at Brewman Recruitment. I think the last check, it was 70+ reviews there from some of the very best, both agents and the people that Nicola has moved. So you should be really proud of that. Thank you.
I mean, winning the EA Masters last year was a big bonus for us. That really helped us and gave us I still can't get over the fact that we won it. I fell off my chair, but it's that's really helped us. But in answer to your question, so many people come to us because we've helped others. The way that we work as a business is we have Broomham and nothing without my guys that work for me, and I have to say that because this isn't just about me. It might be my name above the door, but it's not the Nicola Broomham show. These guys work tirelessly, and they're all client managers, and they have incredible relationships with their clients. And what we can do is, by really understanding them and kind of getting under their skin and finding out what their problems are and trying to understand why people have left, what works well, what doesn't work well. We want to start going more into our clients' offices, talking to the team. We've just started introducing like doing exit interviews and things like that for clients, because obviously we're not them. We can actually get to the root of what the issue is. Yeah. It helps us to ultimately formulate a plan. Now, some clients don't want that. Some just want us to recruit for them, which is fine, and we can do that. But I think the ones that want us to help, we can help them to create proper onboarding packages and things. And by that, what that means is you've job offered, what happens from the point of job offer through to their end of their probation. We can help them to create that. And we're doing that because we want that placement to stick. and we want them to stay. And this is where I think we probably or possibly are a little bit different to maybe recruiters of old or that have been years ago, is that it's not about just thanks very much, give me the money, thanks for my fee, see ya.
I think one of the most frustrating things that you'll ever hear to people talk about recruiters, and I've dealt with some of the very best ones there, but some of them just can't help themselves when they, you know, that they go back to the person they've moved into your business, you know, whatever it is. And so how are you getting on now? And it's so frustrating that you almost have to go on to churn defense against your own recruiter that got you into the role. It's such a short-term view of things, isn't it, from a recruitment perspective?
Yeah. In fact, I had this conversation with Annabelle in the office earlier about that practice, because obviously the last thing you want to do is fish from your own pond.
Yeah.
But it's something that we're working on. We're also creating Brewman Resources at the moment.
Yeah. So give us a clue as what does that entail for your clients?
So Brewman Resources is we basically want to create a library of information, completely free to anyone, and through, doesn't matter what industry you are. And we're having some. Don't talk to me about websites right now, because we're having some massive dev issues. If I wasn't grey before, I'm definitely going grey now. But anyway, is no supplier to this world, just by the way, just to clarify that. This is no supplier to normal agency world. So this is a recruiter supplier. Anyway, on our new website, we're creating Brewman Resources, which is going to be free information, which is going to be articles and obviously news stories, but more so than that, it's going to be what we're calling resources, which are things like forms and templates. So it might be a template for a reference letter, it might be a template for a onboarding checklist, it might be a template for, I don't know. We've got a number of template, almost HR typey documents, which are just available for free for you to access, to download. And
you're working on the basis there, Nicola. So if you give, it's that reciprocity. If you give best advice, you're confident that people will come back to you in the future and say, look, these guys clearly know what they're talking about. Clearly, they're also kind enough to be able to do this, and that will lead to future business. Yeah.
Ultimately, yeah.
Nice.
So that's the idea behind it. But
you're playing a lot of, there's short-termism is a massive problem of. Not just in this industry, but UK businesses, isn't it? Your approach there and your business development coach as well are really quite surprising for a business that started. You can well imagine somebody with a very mature business having the time, energy to sit back, but you're thinking about this at the moment, which shows to me that you're ahead of the curve again on all this stuff.
I hope so. We try to be ahead of the curve on what we do. We were doing video interviews back in January last year before COVID hit, and then all of a sudden overnight we lost our bloody USP. We're trying to be ahead of the curve on the things we're doing. And as I say to my guys, it's all about the long game. It's never about the short game. And what we want to do is, like I said earlier, it's about a partnership, not just a supplier function. For us, and that partnership goes into we want to be the external internal recruiter. So the type of businesses we like to work with are really forward thinking, innovative estate agency and suppliers that can see the value in human beings.
Right. And this is the part where I ask you to be all vulnerable. You don't have to burst into tears or anything else, although lots of people do doing it. What would you, if you were looking at yourself over the last year, clearly, I make more mistakes than I make to make successes. What would you say you called wrong over the last year? What was something that you just felt that, if I had my time again, I wish I hadn't done it like that?
There are so many things I could say to answer this right now.
I wasn't going to go for a 40.
No, there are two massive mistakes I've made. And the first one is not watching my cash flow.
Okay, so just from a business
perspective, that. And you know what the second mistake is? I hired 2 people really quickly.
Okay. Yeah.
And I know as a recruiter to say that I messed up on recruiting is ironic, but I'm very.
I'll edit this out.
That's fine. I'm really good at giving advice. I'm
Yeah.
terrible at listening to my own.
That's exactly the same with me. And look, given that Kerfuffle's got about 363 people working in it, yeah, I can get on board. But I think it's all that is though, isn't it? Is again, it's you strike me as a person who's glass half full, aren't you? Would that be fair to say that you've got a fairly optimistic view?
Yeah, very, very positive. I might have a little and then about 5 minutes later, I'm like, we're cool, we got this, right? Come on, let's go. That's me.
That's you not missing opportunities there, isn't it? There, so inevitably, when you go down that route, sometimes there's going to be those ones where you need to just take a step back but then again, you can't call a year like last year anyway, can you? Is the simple truth of things.
Yeah, and I actually got a message the other day from a recruiter from a different industry who wanted some advice on something, which has been really lovely actually, because quite a lot of that's happened. And he said to me, Nicola, if you could give me one piece of advice or tell me the one thing that you've done in the last 18 months that's worked for you, what would it be? And I said to him, I just kept saying yes.
Yeah, that power of saying no is there's a famous book, isn't there? Yeah.
And genuinely, that's what I did. I just kept saying yes. I was just like, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Why not? And it's at the moment it's okay. But as I said to you earlier, we might be making a massive mistake going down this whole coaching and 360 holistic sort of view to recruitment. But
yeah, look, I'll call it early. You certainly won't be. But talking about that 360 approach, how do you see that helping ultimately? Helping the candidates and clients.
The way we view it is that we quite often in recruitment, the client is the company.
Yeah.
We have two clients. We have the company and we have the job seeker, or whatever you want to call them. There isn't a proper word that I actually quite like to call them, but we have two clients. And for us, we understand we're messing with people's lives, and we're messing with, buying houses, their kids' futures, going to university, all of that stuff. We're playing with people's lives. And I really, really want to make our industry less churny, for want of a better phrase.
I love that word.
It's not really a word. So made that one up. But the average tenure of somebody within within a state agency is about 18 months in each role. And it's not good. It's not a good stat. No. And I just feel like I feel like I'm in a position, or I have potentially an opportunity to make our industry better, both better in terms of longevity of people, better in terms of their quality of life and their working environment, but also productivity, because ultimately that's what everybody cares about, is their productivity of what they're going to get from their people. Yeah. And I honestly believe that if we can attract really good talent into our industry, we can train them, educate them, and make them happy, that from an employer's perspective, their output and their productivity will go up, and we'll be seen as a better place to be. So all of these reasons are why I want to go down this route, because it's all about trying to make it better.
Well, we'll catch up with you over the coming months. I'm convinced that you'll obviously you'll have certainly more successes than you will have failures on that. Just talk me through there what you see as some of the biggest mistakes you see people making in kind of recruitment at the moment.
The same one I did, hiring too quickly. I'd say to all of our clients, elongate your recruitment process, add in an extra interview, add in a test, do a psychometric test, whatever it may be, do something, get them to meet the team, go for a beer, do a trial day, elongate your process. And I know that might sound, there'll be recruiters that if they listen to this go, Nick, what are you doing? We want them to make quick decisions because we need them to make quick decisions because the market's so tight. That is so true, because you also can't mess people about. If you go on holiday for a week to Spain and think that your candidate's going to sit and wait for you, they won't. But just add in extra measures and make sure you get it right. We all know what the cost of a bad hire is, and it's huge. Yeah. So just get that bit.
Clearly, I'm going to drag it back to food because we're approaching lunch now as well. But it's like the slow food movement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nothing needs to be rushed there, and you can understand why. But and it sounds so stupid when I heard you say go out with them for a drink. You know, I mean, clearly that's been how I've based my career. But there is a degree of truth, isn't it? That it takes a while. People have become very good at doing interviews, but they can't keep their guard up continually. The more that you do things like that, can they?
No, completely. And I know lots of people hate this, but I'm a massive fan of role play.
Yes, but it's tough, isn't it? But that all the best things come from that challenge, don't they? Of taking yourself out of the comfort zone.
Yeah, and I've known people that have said to me, "Oh, I've hired an administrator who can't spell for toffee. Put some tests in." You know, those sorts of things. I just think that the recruitment process as a whole doesn't just need to be a first stage, second stage job offer. It's got to be tailored around what each individual needs. So the mistakes I think that people make is they hire too quick. I think they hire based off of gut. And whilst gut is a really good thing to listen to, the majority of the time your gut is just telling you if you like someone or not if they can do the job. What
about the reverse of that, Nicola, where you've got the gut feel that somebody isn't right for you in the business? And I think a lot of people, the amount of, I mean, because I was kept on for 10 years, I should have been sacked 72 times in here and eventually made whatever success I have. I've always given people far too many chances and you know, and called it wrong on a number of occasions, even when my ample gut was telling me that I'd got that wrong. What advice would you give people on that, the other side of things there? How should they be challenging that emotive feeling about, you know, in terms of making that very difficult decision?
I think you need to listen to where that's founded, because your gut feeling, or like you said, your emotive feelings towards somebody or something will be founded somewhere. And I think that it's one of the things actually that we talk about within our coaching bit is sort of proper cognitive strategies. And I think you need to look at that as well. We need to look at your inner voice. And it's quite hard to do, but if you can almost step away from yourself and look down on the situation, why are you feeling like this? What's making you feel like this? And properly scrutinizing where that feeling is coming from, and then putting in place, I guess, a plan of how to deal with it. We're all guilty of trying to give people second chances, third chances, because we're human and we like them, or we want to do the best by them. But in my experience, if something is niggling you that they're not right, it will be because of something has happened, or they're not doing something, or they've done something. And I think you either nip it in the bud and solve it, or you move on very quickly, or put a plan in place in order to solve it. I've been guilty of giving people too many chances and kept people on, because you want to see the best in people.
You want to give them a chance, don't you? Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah, and I was a bit negative before because I asked you about, which is unusual for me, asking about sort of the mistakes you made there. But you know, you've built this business so quickly now. What are some of the positive things you've learned in the last 20 months?
I've learned to pivot. I've learned to pivot very quickly.
Yeah, you had to be fair.
I had to. I've learned to be real. A big part of the reason why I think Broomham has been the success it has is because I've worn my heart on my sleeve. I do generally, and what you see from me is what you get. I'm the same here as I am at home or with my friends, and I think I've just been brutally honest about our ups and downs, and I think people have associated with that because, again, it's that human piece where people have just seen.
And you don't have to remember what you've told different people, do you? I mean, it's sometimes a bit risky when you are yourself, but at least that's just it, isn't it? And again, you don't have to appeal to 100% of people, do you? As long as you said yourself, I think one of the things that I've really seen this last year is the amount of business owners now that who you know, in the early days, you just want every client you possibly can do. But once you've gone through life and you've experienced what a bad client can do, and whether that's, you know, what that sort of mood hoover, the absorption of time there, you realize it's just as important to stop working with those people. And it might be you, it might be them, that you're not going to get on with anyway, isn't it? And so
we've walked away from business a lot. We've walked away from people. We've walked away from companies. Yeah, we're not aligned, and I'm so defined on what our values are and what we stand for and what we want to deliver that we will quite happily walk away from the ones that don't match with us, and we'll say we're not the recruiter for you. So yeah, it's
I mean, obviously, fantastic start. The business absolutely flying now. What are the future plans apart from what you've already discussed today?
global domination.
Nice, loving it. Give the Dr. Evil laugh.
No, I can't do that. No, I'd like us to grow. I'd like us to get bigger, and we cover the whole of the UK as it is, but we mainly focus on sort of the south. We're about to open a second office. Okay. So Joan is going to be heading up our Broomham West division, which is because he's down in Cornwall, so he's covering the whole of the south coast into Wales and all across.
It's a very different world down there, so I can see why.
Yeah, it's very different. So Joan's heading that up. So we've effectively got two departments or two sides to the business. Like I said, this whole coaching piece. But long term, I'd like us to become bigger. I'd like us to become the go-to recruiter. Yeah. At the moment, I would say our business is split probably 60% estate agency, 40% supplier.
So that's really important. So I was going to say the go-to, you mentioned their go-to, but I know a number of the fantastic suppliers and people in the business. So you've really serving a really particularly good niche there, aren't you, for those? Do you want to just talk to us about that? Because obviously we've got a lot of suppliers who watch these shows as well.
Yeah, so we work with quite a few suppliers to the industry. We do everything from kind of like BDEs, so those like real phone basher, cold cally roles, all the way through. Well, a lot of what the roles we have are account manager based, so and customer service and things like that. But we've done all sorts of stuff. We've filled head of sales roles, we filled MD roles, the whole spectrum. But also we kind of have a go at anything. And I know that might sound silly, but we filled head of HRs for companies. We filled lots of marketing positions, those types of roles. We've done acquisitions roles. What we don't tend to do is we don't tend to work very much with new homes or developers. Okay. I tend to sort of pass those over to another friend recruiter. But we've worked with lots of different ones and different companies, and we've got some really, really solid relationships with companies like Good Lord and things like that. We are their go-to recruiter. We're working with lots.
You must have been busy there. The rate they've grown. That's incredible.
Yeah. Jake and Sam have a fantastic relationship. We've also worked with quite a lot of startups. So we've made placements with some startup companies like Cubic Lease. There's a company called IRE who are really coming into the UK with their
the Australian company, Milton.
Yeah, Milton. Yeah, we've made a few placements with him. We worked with 20CI. There's loads of different ones, but also some of the more unusual ones. Not just we fill Rightmove and Repeat and those types of ones, but some of the more unusual.
Were you replacing a head of sales there, or?
No, we didn't get that gig.
I know for a fact. So I mean, and genuinely, even before we started talking about this, I knew loads of people who were from the supplier side who were shouting about your name, and it's really difficult because people do come to us regularly and say, look, where do we go? And they're using generic recruiters, and whilst there's a place to play for them, there's nothing like having knowledge of the industry, is there? You mentioned websites before, and one of the things that you'll get little agreement out of the likes of Jeremy from Homeflow or Ben from Starbury and Mike from Property Jungle, apart from the one thing they all agree on, which is do not go to the local guy for the website, because whilst they might be have good core recruitment skills or web development skills in their case, having to explain to them the industry, you haven't got enough bandwidth, have you? You haven't got enough hours in the day to tell them. So that your knowledge of the industry, again, it's like sort of what you pay people for, isn't it? You can't replace that sort of experience, can you?
No, and that's also why the whole team that work for Broomham are all ex-estate agents as well. The only one that isn't is Will, and I made him sit an estate agency course, poor guy, so that he knew. But yeah, all of that stuff is completely invaluable. And as most people know, my husband, my mum, my sister, my brother, and my brother-in-law are all estate agents.
Yeah, what a Christmas dinner that is.
Yeah, they all, apart from Paul, they all work for the same one though. So, and we don't recruit for them.
Yeah, it's a full busman's holiday, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's but
Well, look, as I said, anyone needs to reach out to you on that basis. Well, look, Nicola, I mean, I think fantastic to hear how you're doing. You know, we see you all the time. Love the podcast. Obviously, love your forthright attitude and everything. So continue, obviously, on that front. There's not enough of that out there in terms of there. But I think just if I was to reiterate again, just from what I can see, is you're more than just recruiters, aren't you? You've got a real passion for it. If you, I say it till people are sick in the face. I know you will be one of those people that definitely does not want to just be seen as a supplier to the industry. You want to be a partner to these businesses. And what I'm seeing from, as I said, from people just talking to me off there, or the reviews from people on your landing page on kerfuffle.com, you are really hitting the right notes at the moment. So congratulations to it, and really keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. I'll catch up with you soon. Cheerio.
Thanks. Bye.